We're near Mount Rushmore here in South Dakota. Do you think there should be another president up there?
Maybe there's one there that should be replaced.
Huh. I wonder which one he thinks should be replaced.
Maybe put Trump up there in place of Teddy Roosevelt.
Why?
Teddy Roosevelt was a progressive.
But why Trump up there?
Trump's the best president we've had since George Washington.
2 impeachments, 4 indictments. What do you think those other 4 guys would think of that?
Well, the other 3 would probably think he's been ripped up, insulted, charged with everything anybody could make up unjustly. These silly impeachments were absolute bull.
Teddy Roosevelt was a progressive? Huh. I never knew that. And also, I don't think George Washington and Lincoln would want to be up there with a seditionist. They've dealt with their own fair share of traitors as it is.
Do you think that Trump should be on Mount Rushmore?
I do. I was just visiting there actually a couple of weeks ago, and there's a nice spot for him right to the right of everybody. So, yeah, I do.
He's been impeached twice. He's been indicted 4 times. You grew up next to Rushmore, and you're like, I still think he should be up there.
All you have to do is look at what he did for the country in 4 years. Our borders were secure. People were working. Gas was $2 a gallon. Now it's $4 a gallon. I just filled up on my way here. Grocery prices are up 20%. The cost of everything has gone up for everybody in the last 2.5 years. You couldn't have scripted a plan to ruin America like Biden has.
Trump made this country more of a divided mess than it ever was, and he derailed democracy. Isn't there one person there with a sane mind?
We're right near Mount Rushmore. Do you think he should be up on Mount Rushmore?
God, no. No, that's for the 4.
Bingo! One person got it right. Can you imagine putting that guy up on Mount Rushmore? I mean, first of all, what do you do with the hair? I don't even know how you would create the hair. That would be a nightmare for a sculptor whoever had to sculpt the Trump 5th face on Mount Rushmore would be no good. But more importantly, the guy's the worst president in our history, and yet somehow these guys have been able to write revisionist history, and these guys think he did a great job. Right off the bat, let's start with the fact that he tried to overthrow democracy and do a coup in this country. He should have been done the day after. And the problem is that the Republican Congress, you got your Kevin McCarthy's, your Lindsey Graham's, all these people, your Mitch McConnell's, who the day of the January 6th insurrection were steaming and upset. Once they turn around and realize that there's enough cuckoos who support Trump and they'll continue to follow him, they all kiss the ring, just like McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed the ring and said, whatever you want us to do. More recently, they have opened up an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden because Donald Trump wants them to. It's not necessarily good politically for the Republicans, but Donald Trump wants them to because of his ego, and they've done it for him. He's someone who stole classified documents and shared them, or at least blurted them out in times and places he wasn't supposed to. He's really a dumb guy. He's someone who mismanaged the coronavirus. We forget that. Remember when in the beginning of the coronavirus, he would do speeches and he was saying, when it warms up, the virus will just go away. We all remember the bleach incident. Put bleach into your system. He was trying to sound smart and lead a country. That was one of the times he tried, but it really showed that he didn't know what he was doing. How many times has he tried to talk about his own intelligence by saying he had an uncle who was a professor at MIT? That has nothing to do with anything. I have a lot of very, very smart relatives. I have relatives who had a lot of hair. Obviously didn't work. So he's really a bad person. He's one of the worst presidents we've ever had. And yet these people feel that he did great for the country. That one guy that was talking about gas prices and all the other inflation and all that stuff. Well, we had something called a pandemic that led to an inflation all over the world. And they don't want to see that. They don't want to recognize that because it allows them to live in their delusional world where they can be racist or homophobic or whatever else they want to be and rah, make America great again. Donald Trump's going to come back and make my life great again. He's not. He didn't before. He was supposed to build a wall that solved some sort of issue with the immigration. He didn't build the wall. And by the way, the wall wouldn't have solved the immigration problem because, if you're really trying to keep out criminals, which he was saying Mexicans are rapists and and drug dealers. Well, drug dealers know how to, build tunnels and come under the wall, or get around the wall, or find ways around the wall. So the point is, there's no logic. You can't talk logic to these people. They are going to try and be part of revisionist history. The only hope we have is that the guy actually gets convicted on all the counts, and yet they still believe that it's some sort of witch hunt because he keeps telling them. You could have a recording of Donald Trump saying, my followers are a bunch of idiots, and I'm sure he said that before. He doesn't want to be near them. He doesn't really care for them. You could have a recording of that, and they would just say, well, it was clearly he was coerced into saying that by the deep state. That's what we got going on here, people. We're not dealing with sensible people. So the only way to counter any of this stuff is to just keep telling the truth, keep pointing the mirror back at them when they tell you that January 6th was an inside job. Point the mirror at all the people attacking. The FBI, they say, was what was behind January 6th. All right, well, even if the FBI had infiltrated that crowd and was instigating some of these people to go into the Capitol, they didn't have to go. They went. They broke the law. Even if you show that there was a clear line from Donald Trump saying, come to the Capitol, it's going to be wild, and not sending anyone in to help for those several hours as they were going to go hang Mike Pence. Could you imagine if even if they'd hung Mike Pence, these people would have been like, well, he had it coming because he could have stopped the election from being stolen. The election wasn't stolen. The election was lost fair and square, and these people are out of their minds. So we gotta vote. Register to vote. Vote blue. If you're going to vote red, don't vote Trump. Vote somebody else. At this point, I've kind of lost all faith in a lot of the Republican Party because of people like these Trump supporters. What can we say? We're going down. So why don't you come watch me do stand-up? I tour all over the country. Go to MazJobrani.com. Come see me live. Let's have a good time as we go down. Namaste.